Well, hello and welcome back to IVATOPia. That's me, by the way. Let's play episode 27. I always butcher your name. It's either Tyranny or Tyranny. Anyway, let's carry on. We're about to find out what Lantry thinks of Karas. Loyalty 1. How can I not help but find him to be the most captivating person alive? The man has bent empires, claimed continents. Where he goes, history follows. I won't deny he has killed millions at least, but I contended more would have died in petty wars across terrors in the void of Karas. Also, he thinks he's killed loads to take over, but more would die if he hadn't. Okay. I've seen what tiny despots, merchant cables, mage guilds can inflict in the names of all sorts of righteous causes. I would take the rule of Karas over the Tyranny. That's the name of the game. Tyranny of every idiot on Tyranny. Let's speak of something else.
I am nothing if not a semi-reliable font of knowledge. What did you want to discuss?
I have questions about our allies and enemies. What can you tell me about School of Ink and Quill? I like to discuss your main matters.
And I'd be happy to oblige. Ever since the fall of the Vellum Citadel, it is hard to find someone with whom I can discuss such things.
You think of Karen's edicts. Karen has cast many over the ages, and to my knowledge has never worded two edicts exactly the same. Edicts defy our understanding of magic. Karen's magic works over vast distances, over infinite durations, and no archon or mere mage can counter the force of an edict. What can you tell of edicts in general? I explain it to my students like this. A spell is to an edict as a drop of rain is to a hurricane. Oh, okay. So the edict is like a hurricane coming through, where a spell is a little bit of a piece of rain. That kind of makes us look really puny in comparisons. But I stopped one, so maybe I'm up there with him. Edicts and spells are both magical cantrips, but differ in intensity by orders of magnitude. Edicts are almost commands to terrorists that must be carried out until the instructions allow for the magic to end. If Karas wants a plague until next Judge's Day, expect Cuprous Bumballs until next Judge's Day. Nothing has ever displayed an edict, nothing outside of edict's own sunset clause, as I like to think of them. Curious about the Pacific edict? Of course, ask away. Any thoughts on the edict of execution cast on Villain's Valley? Seems like the Archons were about to kill each other, and the threat of mutual destruction was about all Karas had left. I imagine fear is the only way to get someone like the voice of Nikon to follow orders, and the edict certainly did whip them into action. Of course, ask away. What do you know of the Edict of Stone? The Edict of Stone ravaged the realm of Azra. The upheaval of earth, the rock turned the rolling plains into craggy steppe known as Stone Sea. Since the edict was directed at the treacherous Archon of Stone, it would seem the upheaval of Azra was a secondary concern, though I imagine little of what Karas does is unintentional. Of course, ask away. What do you think of the Edict of Fire? I was there when the ground erupted with fire, and I don't think I remember ever being as terrified as I was that day. If I hadn't woken early, I would have likely perished in my sleep or awoken to the experience of being... Was that immortalated? I have very conflicted feelings about this matter. The School of Ink and Quill have every opportunity to surrender. The leadership chose to stand against the most powerful force on terrorists. While this is all very terrible, it was entirely preventable. You think me crazy, but there is a part of me saddened. I lived through an edict of fire. Karas has used this before. I figured if I'm going to have years taken off my life fleeing an edict, would it be nice if it was a historical first? So he's upset if he was going to die to be one that's using the past instead of using what's ever been used. If he wants to die to an edict, he wants one that's unique. I guess there's one way to go out. Of course, ask away. Can you tell me about the Edict of Storms? I would think you know more than most of that subject. I watched with great interest when it happened, but fleeing the Edict of Fire was a more pressing concern. The Edict of Storms turned this once forest land of Starwood into a wind-swept wasteland. They call it the Blade Grave. Now, since only the iron and bronze arrangements remain, hurricane breeze, rush winds, and relentless lightning have destroyed the housing and farmlands. Let's speak of something else. Karen has cast many over the ages, and to my knowledge has never worded two edicts exactly the same. Edicts defy understanding of magic, works over... Oh, you ever read this bit before? To work on the same arcane principle as spellcraft and other magics.
Edicts are the strongest manifestation of magic we know, and they seem to violate all other lesser phenomena. No dispel cantrip has ever dented or abated an edict. Even archons with powers of great durability cannot shrug off their effects. Just look at Cairn.
Who's Cairn again? As tall as the hills, Cairn is the archon of stone, master of earth and soil, destroyer of mountains and cities. Cairn is the reluctant leader of the Earthshaker Guild, though he is less their teacher and more their object of study. The Massive Arcane is sworn to grave ashes and provides arcane support to the favoured war effort.
Now, what I find curious, edicts can flex a little, or so my studies suggest this is the case. Take the Edict of Storms. While the day it was proclaimed was the most violent, the actual radius of the storm has changed over time. But most will have none of my hypotheses on this matter.
Fine, I'll take the bait. What's your conclusion about edicts?
So, in my studies, some edicts resolve some problem of the overlords and then vanish into history. But the edicts that linger around, almost all of them begin to widen. Their effects become more intense.
Okay.
Here's the intriguing part. The older the edict, and the more that's written about it, the more the reports of that edict get more dire over time.
So if he has one staying a long time, it gets worse and more intensified and gets worse. If he does one that he has a set purpose, when it finishes, the purpose is done and he's got whatever he wanted to achieve. When these ones just kind of go out of control. Like either his purpose is not met, or maybe his edict magic, he can't actually control that 100% and it kind of lingers and he just forgets about it. That's how legend works. Each generation tells them bigger. Perhaps edicts have a life of their own once set in motion. Edicts never seem to vanish over time. I think you're talking about things you understand.
Something to that effect, at least. I contend that edicts are powered by fear. Fear of Kairos helps fuel the casting, and fear of the edict feeds the magic, sustaining it, and, if enough people fear it, even growing it a bit.
Interesting. Ruled by fear certainly catches way, or it just feeds off the landscape once set in motion. Look at what has become of Astra and Star Wars. What have others said of this theory of yours? That one.
Intellectual honesty demands that I study the matter more. If I'm correct, the more people fear and obsess over an edict, the stronger it becomes. Anyway, another study for another time.
Speak something else.
And I'd be happy to oblige. Ever since the fall of the Vellum Citadel, it is hard to find someone with whom I can discuss such things.
Arcane. Did I just ask you basically that? Because it's not arcane work. I've studied many arcanes for many years. Compared to the other sages, I'm an expert on the subject. Just sad because I feel like I'm still so much to learn. Loads of Karens. How does the arcane work? Arcanes all have magical powers that are I always get that word mixed up. I can never read it properly. It's basically there's stuff in games that no one lets you go first. Intuitive. When the voices of Necron pull out someone's mind, or graven ashes protects his soldiers, that magic isn't a sign, spell or ritual. To them, it's closer to flexing one's hand. Wow. Arcanes are the word for it. Ams on magic, the root of magic spells, pioneers. While every guild or school of magic will ascribe different a name to the theory, all mages eventually stumble upon the inescapable fact only the arcanes can will magic into being. Everyone else can only cast magic by invoking signals of the arcane that has come before. None know how the arcanes do their magic. It seems to be different with each arcane, but theory suggests that once an arcane starts to invoke the powers, anyone else who comes after that arcane could, with the proper knowledge, tap into the power with the proper signal and know how. The observed law has given rise to a common question from young students. Could one guess at a signal of an arcane not yet born, or not remembered by history, or simply unknown to the caster, and successfully cast a spell? Experienced mystics would tell you this is impossible, but they know that it's not enough to just mimic the gestures of a signal or sigil, however you say that word, one must have willful consciousness, knowledge of the arcane, and the intended power being channeled. Interesting. I'm sure this archaeology is off in many ways, but I see arcanes as the mothers of the original magic, and everyone else is just imitating them. To confuse things a bit, some arcanes learn to cast other spells in the same fashion as us lesser mages. If you are as important as an arcane, you learn quick that all knowledge is power. I studied many of the arcanes for many years. Compared to the other sages, I'm an expert. We read that, didn't we? Are arcanes loyal to currents? Officially, yes. In actually, no. What? What are you talking about? Those with true gift for magic always come to the attention of Karos. A few managed to evade attention for a bit. The School of Ties was founded by one such uncontrollably, but those are history's exceptions. Uncontrollable. When we write biographies of arcanes, we often refer to them as Erics in the formation years before stepping into their prime. But officially, Karos is supposed to grant all titles of arcane. It's quite the far past to self-obliterate, whatever. How is arcane born or bred? I think we all dream of one day waking up and being an arcane, given some of the madmen and loons that have exhibited mystical greatness. It can seem unfair that the rest of us can't do it. I can say with confidence arcanes aren't born, they become grave ashes. The last of the great northern generals to stand against the overlord in the ages past, arcane grave ashes have served Karen's supreme commander of the disfavored region and charged with conquering the tears. It is a good study of this. Before he was the arcane of war, he was a successful commander, each victory more daring and glorious than the next. Somewhere along the way, his leadership took on mystical qualities. And that's like with me with this tower, maybe. Interesting. The graven ashes we know today can reach out and protect his soldiers from harm, but maybe at first he could just protect those near him. I wouldn't know for certain, but all will attest that he didn't have this power his whole life. I studied and I did that. Let's speak something else.
And I'd be happy to oblige. Ever since the fall of the Vellum Citadel, it is hard to find someone with whom I can discuss such things.
You know spellcraft.
I've forgotten more than most blood chanters have ever learned. What do you want to know?
Can you teach me anything?
Most certainly. I probably should have shown you how to mend wounds sooner. If you have a moment, I can show you the healing sigil I was trained to use.
Oh, yeah, that would be quite useful. No time like the present. Running through his satchels, the sage produces a long quill and crumbles a piece of parchment. With 7 quick strokes of quill, he inks a pattern on the page. Well, start with first principles. When mending wounds and easing pain, we invoke the magic of the orphan midwife, arcane of rebirth. By invoking her signal, we channel her mastery, however briefly, through our hands. Now trace the signal following the lines in the order I sketched them. Follow his instructions, War Mage. Follow along, trust me, I'm a natural with this sort of thing. What can you tell me about this arcane rebirth? War Mage, follow along. Gain fear with loyalty, you have gained loyalty with loyalty. Youth and confidence. Where you find one, you often find the other. And yet, me tell you one thing I know for sure. Herbs and magic don't mix. Still, if you're eager to learn, that's music to my ears. This isn't your first catnip. Or I can say catnip! Cantrip. I can say catnip for some reason. I'll move a little quickly, but I think you can keep up. Lanty walks you through the countless repetitions of the signing, the mystic signal for hours. You wave your hand in the air to no effect until at last you sign the pattern in the air, feel a rush of power through your veins. Toby gain 5 control life skill ranks. And so, if you need to heal pain as opposed to purging infection, you move your hand like so, but you know that's enough for now, and I think the rest you can figure out on your own. What sort of magic did the sage teach you? Can you tell me about the sign of magic? That one. Sage Cinder tutored me in the traditional signals, those of preparation, concealment, and healing, as derived from the bygone archons of Throtus, Fading Wrath, and the Other Midwife. The prevention magic is largely functional, stealing parchment, binding books, that sort of things. All of us chroniclers learn concealment magic, as our ideal method would be to study events without contaminating the decisions being made. As for the healing magic, many of us modern sages study this at great depth. The school has a shoddy reputation among the common folk. I figure they knew us as healers and caregivers. Maybe we start to change opinions. Healing, now that's a notable craft to study. So you study magic to spy on people. They didn't teach you to conjure lightning or something fun. Sounds boring. Yes, well, I suppose boring attracts fewer enemies than dangerous. The way I see it, we're already invented enough ways to kill each other without magic. Why bother? What can you tell me about signing magic? Scholars don't have a good word for what archons do when they cast magic. Couldn't tell you how Grevin Ash casts his protection over his soldiers. Nor would I know how Blendon Market constantly decides to move through a shadow. But when us mere mages want to cast a spell, we do so by signing the signal of Archon that previously discovered the magical phenomena in question. It's debate whether Archons create new magic or just discover magic that was waiting for us, but such questions seem possible to answer while sober. That's all for now. Oh, interesting. New sign. Let me set this up before we end this episode quick. Oh, sorry, I knocked my... I'm in my chair back and knocked my mic. I don't know if that sounded like a knock. If it was, that's what happened. Spells. Talents, maybe. I have 2 talent points to give out to. Nice. Where's my spells? Oh, what's this? Spiral grades. Mystery device. The ancient device pierced atop the mountain spiral in Vendor's Well is the product of forgotten age. It is unclear that the function it once had, or if it can be used again. Resting in any spare grants a bonus to our skills. Nice. What did I say? Management, edicts. Select a region to view the information about the current edict. Edict of stone. Interesting. So how do you upgrade this? Oh, hi, what's this? Ooh, uses... Aha! A merchant with a monetary collection of items for sale. One of them will also create camping supplies periodically. Okay. A skilled trainer who teaches unarmed attacks, parry, dodge, and summon. Skilled trainer who teaches one-handed weapons. Throw weapons, corpse eye, a battlefield scavenger with many unique items for sale. A skilled trainer who teaches one-handed weapons, two-handed weapons. Kendrick, a smith who regularly produces weapons. Lone Fang, an old beast woman who regularly provides food to take into battle. That seems interesting. We'll also camping, so 10. Revenants will appear next time you travel to Mystic Device. I think that sounds good. A regular provides food, taking a battle. Which else was a good one? Teaches one-handed. Parry dodge. Food to take in the battle, I've done that one. Unique items. I don't have enough for these now. Unarmed attacks, parry dodge, why not? So hopefully when we come back these are going to be better, that's cool. Spell creation, so I now should have a healing one, shouldn't I? Sign of life. Force. I'll show you what it is. Ah, okay. Expression used to create spells that affect single targets near the caster. Expression used to create spells that attract distant targets. That affect distant targets. Everyone should have the heal one. Healing wisps. So if I do it this way. Restoring touch. What does he have? Restoring touch. So what does wisps do? I'm assuming it'll create a wisp that creates us. Area effect, allied, 2% health. Could end life law. Release tiny bots of life energy that restores a large amount of health to the target. I think everyone should have that. Because at the end of the day, we can all heal. It's going to be good. I need more slots for my guy. Okay. With that, I'm going to end this episode here. So like, subscribe, good stuff, and tune next time when we'll continue. I'll have a little conversation with her before we go. So, bye for now, people. Bye-bye.